Merry Christmas, everyone, and welcome to Walford Weekly, your weekly EastEnders podcast, where this week we'll be discussing the episodes aired on the BBC in the UK from Friday the 23rd to Thursday the 29th of December 2022. Hello, everyone. I hope you're having a lovely seasonal break. I hope you are well. I expect that you probably are, full of mince pies, crisps, and turkey dinners. And look who is here, camper than Christmas, if that was even possible, wrapped in what can only be explained a furry coat of tinsel. Is Rob, everyone. Hello, Rob.
Merry Christmas! Honestly, Alex, I'm disappointed. I thought you'd put a bit more effort in. I mean, you're the one that likes dressing up and stuff. We've all got a Christmas tree, Alex. We've all got a Christmas tree. Come on.
You've got one on your microphone, apparently.
Yeah. How good is this? This, by the way, I thought I'd pay homage to Whitney's hood this week. You know, Whitney's hood was excellent. I thought excellent hood work. So this is my Christmassy Whitney hoodie look. Yes, whether this stays on for the entire episode remains to be seen. But for the moment,
is it breathable?
Yeah, it's breathable.
Yeah, it's breathable. So you got the airflow,
and the quiff's coming through. So to be honest with you, I think I can rock this. Thank you, Alex. Nicest thing you've ever said to me. So I think I can just about rock this and just about keep it going for the episode. But we'll see. All right, we'll see how the tinsel goes. If all I can say is, if you're only listening on audio, my God, you're missing out. I mean,
yes, you certainly are, because you should be watching this right now on our YouTube channel, Walford Weekly Podcast. Pop on your iPad or your computer of choice and have a look. As I always say, you can listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or any of your favorite podcast apps, or you can find us on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter. Just look at Walford Weekly. I can't get over, Rob, how... Rob, I want people to comment below straight away. Do you think Rob looks like something, you look like George Michael from the Wham video last Christmas. You really do. That's meant as a compliment. I'm sorry if you.
Yeah,
good.
I like that. I thought Liberace myself, but either way works. It's all.
You got the stubble and you got the blonde ends, and you look very Christmassy.
It's natural, the blonde, obviously. Did you have a nice Christmas, yes. Alex?
I did. We discussed everything we got and all the fun we had and all the food we ate just before we started recording. But suffice to say, we both ended Christmas Day bloated and a little bit tipsy watching the Christmas special of EastEnders this year.
And what an episode it was! It was. My naughty Lou. We have stuff to discuss, don't we, Alex?
We do. So should we get on with it then and discuss it?
Ho ho ho. Now, be honest, Alex. Do I look gay? No, just before we start talking about the first story. I don't look gay or anything, do I?
No.
All right, good.
Very inconspicuous. No one will know any better.
Marvellous. What's the first story?
We'll talk about Keanu.
Don't you start. Keanu. If Kira wasn't bad enough, you've got no right to talk, by the way, about people mispronouncing names, but we won't go there. It's Christmas.
Well, no, you're right there, but it's just the fact that Keanu is quite, for me, maybe, it's an easier name than Kirat, for instance.
Why?
But anyway.
Oh, never mind.
Keanu. It's also, to be fair, you're right. Phil has so many different variants. It's probably in the same kind of realm as me.
It changes every single time he says it, doesn't it? It's amazing.
Every time. So he's in cahoots.
Yes.
With Keanu. Because he's convinced Keanu that he needs to get Keeble to kind of put a foot in it so that he can get out of trouble. He's reassuring Billy, now he's returned, that he's got it all planned. He's on it. He's reassured Kat that everything's fine. He's reassured Sam that everything's fine. Everyone's on board. Keanu is doing all the dirty work for him.
Yes. And
Phil is allowing him to do it. But Phil did it on the proviso that he can stay in a square so he can get back together with Sharon and he can look after his son Albie, which then turns Phil 180 and changes his mind to let Keanu.
Are we surprised? Are we surprised, Kay?
No, not at all.
We're not surprised, are we? We're not surprised,
not in the slightest, because this is in the Mitchell playbook forever. It's always been in the Mitchell playbook. Backstab, but never be backstabbed.
Exactly. I mean, it's Phil is just Phil's getting predictable in his old age, I have to say. He is he was absolutely fine with, obviously, the whole plan clearly was for him to get what he needed out of Keanu, and then for him to say, oh yeah, and you can leave the square by New Year's Day, otherwise I'll kill you. So, I did kind of see this coming. I thought it was very unlikely that Phil, of all people, would be quite happy to have Keanu kind of hanging around, especially when Sharon is looking as gorgeous as she does these days. You know, that was
She's
was
never
written.
not looked gorgeous. Don't you
No, she
dare.
hasn't.
Don't
No,
you
but
dare.
she
In
looks
those
stunning.
Nikes running around the square a few years ago after...
Oh, we haven't seen
after
Sharon's
her
running
child
shoes in a
bullies.
while, have we?
No, we haven't. We
No,
haven't
I
seen
hope
her gym for just
I
as
hope
long.
that no, I hope they make a return in 2023. I missed the running shoes. You always knew that stuff was going to kick off even before anything happened. You wait, oh, hang on a minute, Sharon's got her running shoes on. Oh, this scene's going to get mental in a minute.
Well, they've missed an opportunity there. They should do a EastEnders cross Nike partnership or something like that. Vans do it all the time. They did Nintendo. I've got some Duck Hunt shoes right now sitting in the cupboard. Yeah, so they should do a crossover.
There we are then.
There's an idea for you if you're listening, EastEnders.
Yes, indeed. So, so basically, Keanu has managed to get this recording off Keeble. That's basically kind of put her in. Put her,
right, yeah.
Go on, then. Have a rant. Alex did warn me that he wanted to rant about something, so please feel free.
Well, I'm just going to say from start to finish. You carry on glistening. So, someone pour some gravy on top of him. So the whole thing with the Keanu thing, it just feels a little bit weird for me. It just doesn't make sense from beginning to end. Like, and they keep stacking things on top of it as well, like this whole Sam thing. Like, how on earth did they find each other in Spain? And then like you know, and like Phil and like you know Keanu got together with Sam. It just, I don't know. It's like they're trying to make him, like, you and I both text each other and said, oh, you know, he's now got through all the Mitchells.
I know.
He's Jack Branding, isn't he? He's like
he is the new Jack Branding, and frankly, Peggy's lucky that she went when she did, because otherwise Keanu would have had a go. Let's be honest, wouldn't she?
Well, I did say that I wouldn't put it past them putting up the idea of bringing Peggy back in one form or another. But still, anyway, I'm talking nonsense. Christmas
you are
is
talking nonsense.
Badly.
Right. So anyway, Keanu has got this recording of Keeble basically talking about, you know, how she's planning on framing Phil, and how, you know, she's told him to plant this gun in Phil's car. For a start off, there's a gun on the scene now. We know that, so somewhere that gun's going to get used, isn't it? Chekhov's gun has come back into play. So, you know the term Chekhov's gun? I've explained this to you before.
Have
Chekhov's
you?
gun. Yeah, no, I don't know. I don't know if I have.
Listeners who haven't heard it before, just tell them.
Chekhov's gun is a term used by the writer Chekhov. Basically, it's a term that's used when, you know, if there's a gun. The theory being, if there's a gun, it doesn't necessarily have to be a gun, but if there's a gun in, you know, the whereabouts of the scene, then that you know that gun's going to be used. You know, someone's going to be on the receiving end of it. Now, you can use that for various. EastEnders is very good at using that sort of effect. But that's essentially what it means. So I'm now worried, because it means that this gun is going to turn up somewhere and someone's going to get shot and shenanigans are going to occur, doesn't it? That's basically.
I was about to say, are you dropping shenanigans into the equation?
I think Shenanigan Warehouse may be making its first appearance in 2023 before too very much longer has passed. So yeah, yeah, exactly. Keeble has basically kind of screwed herself over by basically admitting on tape that she's trying to screw Phil over, and Keanu goes to Phil and sends him the recording, and basically then Phil's got all he wants. So then when Keanu says, oh, by the way, I'd quite like to get back with Sharon, which I've got to say I thought was a stupid thing to say to Phil, to be honest with you, like a bit dumb.
But Phil doesn't own Sharon. Phil has no ownership over Sharon, and Phil's meant to be going around with Kat now. They're meant to be dating, and he made a big issue. We're having a full conversation with Sam, kind of making up, but then he disowned her again as family, saying how he was hurt by what Kat had done. So it's like, don't do anything to Phil, but Phil can do whatever he likes to everyone else. And I know that's Phil's way, and I know that's the Mitchell way, but that's somewhat frustrating and also a little bit cynical to watch, because I don't think Phil has any right to kind of have ownership and stamp this kind of authority to say that you cannot get together with Sharon because I once had sex with Sharon. And it's like, so I know what you're saying. Keanu was a stupid boy for saying it, especially after Phil said, you done good, kid. And then started rubbing his nipple a little bit, his little bald spot. You know, but at the same time, like, I've had coffee. I've had one of Rob's coffees, everyone.
I regret this Christmas present. I knew I would. I knew this was a bad idea.
I said to Rob, I
should have just got you a book.
I said to Rob, I saved the best one for last, which is the highest rating caffeine, because I thought, what? I'm going to make Christmas I'm going to make 2022 go off in a bang.
Yeah, I can only
Happy
apologise.
New Year, everyone.
I can only apologise. We're running at the beginning of the podcast. God knows where we'll be by the end. Who knows?
But so I don't feel like Phil No, I don't know. This is what frustrates me about Phil Mitchell.
Yes, I know,
Every now and then I say, every now and then, quite a lot.
Every 5 minutes you say yes.
Like Phil as a character feels unnecessary. I don't feel like there's the emphasis on the fact that the show won't survive without Phil, I think is unfounded. Yes,
Okay.
Like, when he came back a couple of weeks ago, I said, oh, it's nice to see Phil back. But that's because I was sick and tired of the whole Alfie and Cat story. And I just wanted that to end. But now it really makes me angry that Phil feels like he's not. The whole story about Sharon kind of not moving on, I don't think is Sharon to blame anymore, because I think Phil's not allowing them to move on either. And I think if Phil's really that dedicated to Kat, then he should be like, you know what, Keanu, Ken, you have my blessing to move on and get together with Sharon, and you have a child together, so that makes perfect sense.
I don't know if walking in on him kissing Sam really helped his case.
No, of course not.
That didn't help. Didn't help. So him and Sam, which was a twist that was thrown in this week, which did surprise me. I have to say, I didn't see that coming. So presumably these two had some sort of moment together when they were both in Spain.
Sexy time.
Wow. And they obviously and so I don't know how aware that Keanu would have been about who Sam was when she first met. He could have quite easily have used a defensive. Well, I didn't know she was your sister. Everyone's your sister, Phil. I didn't know. Why was I supposed to know that some random woman that I met in Spain was your sister? That's just bad luck. It's not my fault. But Sam's
one in a billion chance, but it happened,
Yeah, exactly. Well, Sam didn't like the fact that she was kind of being left out. Sam had massive FOMO this week because she was just seeing Phil and Keanu having this sort of kind of moments of meeting up. Do you know what FOMO? The look on your expression.
I know what FOMO is. I just thought you've got massive homo this week, so your tinsel.
How dare you? And. Yes. So Sam was basically a strop because she didn't know what was going on. So she tried to kind of wean it out of Keanu by kissing him, and that unfortunately was when Phil decided to walk in. So Phil went mad and tried to throttle Keanu on the desk. Typical Phil reaction. Phil smash, rah. And then kind of ran away. And then I think from there, Keanu's goose was cooked from that time. I think because
lovely.
anything he said to him would have just been completely ignored because it just he'd seen that, so Phil was angry and stays angry. Phil doesn't stop being angry just because he's got something that he wants, does he?
No, of course not. Oh no, he'll boil it up inside of him for the rest of his life. He remembers things from like 20 years ago, and he'll bring it up at one point or another to upset someone. Yeah. Do you think Phil is a little bit jealous that Keanu has had like all the Mitchells, but Phil hasn't been had by him yet? And that's the reason why Phil was so upset.
Maybe.
Because Keanu didn't turn around and say, "I want to stay on the square because I want to get together with you, Phil." Because there was flirting there, don't you think?
No, there wasn't flirting. This coffee, I'm never buying you coffee again. You sound like some really random dark corner of the internet.
I joke.
No, you don't.
I don't mean
you sound like some really dark corner of the internet that shouldn't be allowed.
That's why he's calling him Keanu and all those. This is his affection.
It's his pet name. Yeah, it's his pet name. Nothing to do with mispronunciation. It's just a pet name.
No. He just loves him so much.
I mean, the thing is with this as well, I don't think Phil has played his cards especially well here, because all surely Keanu now needs to do is go to Keeble and say, okay, awkward, good to have a word with you, and then this can all get sorted. Well, not sorted, but as in like Keanu, Keanu will then automatically have quite a powerful ally on his side when Keeble realises what Phil is trying to do. So I don't think this was Phil's best move in the world, to be honest. I think he's in trouble now.
Whose side are you on with this? Because in a weird way, Keeble. There's no... Well, this is my point. I love Keeble too. But Keeble's kind of... Although she's going about it the wrong way, let's be honest.
Yes.
You can kind of understand why she kind of wants justice for her father's death.
Let's be honest, we don't watch EastEnders for its morals, do we? That's not the thing I tuned in for.
I feel like on this one occasion, that Phil isn't really 100% in the clear here. I don't feel like Phil... No. Has any right to kind of if Billy hadn't been involved with it, because Phil's kind of doing it in my opinion, Phil's kind of doing it in a bit of a backseat role here, because like he could easily kind of step forward and say, "Oh, that wasn't Billy that night, it was me," and Keeble would have been absolutely fine with it, and so then Phil does the time in prison.
Yeah.
So why didn't Phil just do that? Because Phil doesn't want to go to prison either, so he's just trying to find a go around to do it. And also, Phil was in prison. But then Keeble got him out of prison. So why is Keeble so desperate now to get him back in prison again? It's like, what's happening here? What's happening with Phil?
Well, because Keeble's plan is basically just to destroy the Mitchells, isn't she? That's her ultimate goal. And if that means kind of sending Billy down for something that he didn't do, and I don't think that Keeble cares whether he did it or not, the whole plan is to hurt Phil, because Phil is the most connected to Eric that she can get to. So if by sending Phil down, destroying Phil's life, she's thereby kind of destroying Eric's legacy, I think is basically her MO. So I mean, I don't mind all the Keeble stuff. I do like it because I can't.
I'm loving it.
Well, we've had Keeble for about a year now, haven't we? I'd love it. I love Keeble. I want more.
She's soon to retire though. She keeps saying she's retiring, but when this retirement date is happening, I have no idea.
Never.
But I love that. I'm enjoying as much as I kind of see the plot holes there. I'm willing to kind of. There was some stories where I'm not. On this, I'm fine because it's a fine story. Billy's involved, and I'm quite enjoying Billy and Honey's kind of involvement with it. I'm enjoying.
Changed.
I know, mad, isn't it? I'm kind of enjoying the Jay and Lola story attached to it, but we'll talk about that a little bit later on.
Yes.
And it kind of moves us on from the other story that's being linked with Phil and Kat, more importantly, which is her and Alfie's kiss. That got revealed this week as well while he was off in Spain, and also the money going missing. I mean, Phil doesn't seem that concerned about £30,000 missing. If I lost £30,000, I'd be quite upset. But Phil's obviously, he's got many chicken shops. He's probably could make that in a few weeks. That's just a little bit of pocket money. But when he went to the safe in the wall, that safe in the wall always cracks me up every time when they open that up with the paintings.
I've never known anyone with a safe in a wall, really. I don't know whether it's it's a thing that people actually have. I don't know. I've never seen it.
It's a thing the Mitchells have, and that's the most important
thing.
That's
all that matters.
But that's where Kat's necklace was, and Kat was just desperately trying to distract Phil by saying, "Oh, what a beautiful necklace! Thanks so much, Phil." And then he discovered the money. So I loved that Phil punched Alfie in the face.
I thought you might. I thought you might be Team Phil.
Yeah. He did what basically I feel like a lot of people wanted to do, and that's shut Alfie up by smacking him in the mouth.
So
but
aggressive.
Phil hasn't. I know. Merry Christmas, everyone. Happy New Year. But Phil hasn't kind of addressed that yet. So where do you think
he's got other things going on? He's got to deal with the other person.
He's going to bring it back.
He's going to have to deal with the person that's going after his missus. You know, the problem with Phil is that he's got a lot of these kind of Lotharios circling around him like a shark, waiting for him to sort of kind of step back so that they can move in on the women. So I think he's slightly more concerned about the Billy and Keanu stuff at the moment, but he will return to the Alfie stuff. Alfie is by no means out of in the clear. So I think that remains to be seen. But I have to say, I did enjoy the punch because Alfie this week was basically like Christmas Day. He was attempting to climb the Mitchell's house, and was he attempting to go down the chimney? I don't know. I'm not entirely sure.
It was meant to be an hilarious thing for the kids. He was going to, maybe not down the chimney, but abseil down the wall or something like that. You know what?
Like that.
If I'd seen Alfie on that roof, I would have left him there too. When he was at that Christmas table, having his Christmas dinner, and they sat him next to Phil, which was a big mistake, but fine by me. And he sat there and he's like, Phil, I could have frozen to death up there. And Phil just went, good. I was literally honestly like, yeah, good. I don't care. Let him die. I'd happily just let Alfie just kind of die on that roof that day. Oh my God. What was he doing? He
was trying to be Santa. That's what he was trying to do. He's trying to give the kids a nice surprise. And Freddie was dressed as a reindeer and was supposed to be helping him up the ladder. Freddie's Christmas was great. I think Freddie's the only person who had a good day Christmas Day for anybody that we saw, because Freddie basically got dressed up as a reindeer. Yeah. Tried to help Santa onto the roof. Forgot about him, went inside, got drunk, passed out on the sofa. Who doesn't want that for their Christmas? You know, he had a great time. But yes, Phil basically has discovered about the kiss, which good, quite right too. Punched Alfie and stormed out of the house. And now we're just sort of waiting to see what Phil's next move is regards to this. So time will tell. But yeah, Alfie needs to be watching his step and not circling on any more roofs.
It did help Sam kind of bond with Phil because she caught Phil in Peggy's almost drinking. She poured him out of glass.
I loved that scene. I thought it was
a lovely scene between them, and I actually like it when Sam and Phil are on the same page. I don't like it when Phil kind of decides that he doesn't love. He kind of turns hot and cold with people in his family, and he's decided that he doesn't want anything to do with Sam. But I feel disappointed with that because I feel like there's a connection there that you need to keep the Mitchell family close, really. It doesn't work when they're fragmented, and when Phil kind of pushes everyone away, and you always worry that they're going to do a Who Shot Phil story at some point again, because he's upset so many people. But no, there was a lovely scene in Peggy's between Sam and Phil, and it does. I just worry that Sam's kind of like this spare part, and she kind of just floats around, and I just want her to have something to get.
No, I don't think she's a spare part at all. I think that she's very much integral to the story. Just because she's not getting on with Phil at the moment does not mean that she is not a very important cog in the Mitchell machine. Because obviously there's this whole thing going on with Keanu. Now, the Sam and Keanu thing is great, because what this does is automatically bring the rivalry between Sam and Sharon back together. So that's kind of going to set those two off, because obviously Sharon still has feelings for Keanu, and obviously Sam wouldn't mind a bit of Keanu as well. And Keanu's just going to basically be a man slag and just go with whatever woman goes with him first.
Walking around.
Yeah, basically, like just Mitchell all over it. So yeah, and I love that, and I kind of love Sam's desperate involvement to sort of be on the same level as Phil, even though she's absolutely nowhere near, and Phil will never consider her to be that. I don't think. I think it's going to take something huge and momentous for him to.
Well, he pulled her in. The same. Well, he got her in to begin with because he thought that she could handle it, and then the first week she couldn't handle it.
She screwed it up, didn't she? Yeah. So I love that. I kind of like Sam being sort of the foil to Phil's schemes, because she's desperately trying to help, and then that she's the reason it all goes wrong. Quite enjoy that.
I love Sam. I adore Sam. I just worry that she's kind of just wandering around having sex with all the hot men and Ricky.
Jealous.
I mean, poor Ricky. I joke. I love Ricky. Poor Ricky kind of got pushed to one side this week as well, didn't he? He kind of said to Sam, like, "We are together, aren't we? We can
of course we are. Yeah.
He's like, bye. And off she went. Oh, poor Ricky. But I mean, like I say. Shenanigans is on the horizon. That's
yes.
I worry.
Take it, Alex. Just sort of accept it. Allow the shenanigans to wash over you, and it'll be a much more enjoyable experience for you.
Fair enough. But I'm aware of some of the shenanigans, because they have posted on social media. I won't say it now, but they have posted on social media some of the things they're planning to do. It was immediately I saw the shenanigans coming out, so we'll see.
Maybe you might enjoy it. Don't go in negative, Alex. This is will. This is where you trip up. All right, just see what comes our way and absorb it as it comes, and judge it by what we're given. All right. I've seen a few things and I don't mind it, but we'll see. We'll see what happens, and if it's rubbish, I will say it's rubbish. If I enjoyed it, and if you enjoyed it, then that's all that matters. But I think shenanigans under this era may be a different feel of shenanigans to previous eras. I'm going to throw that theory out there. All right, I think it might be all right. So we'll have to wait and see. But shenanigans are coming, I feel. So 2023, year of the improved shenanigans, we shall have to wait and see.
Right, Hi, Rob. We're going to talk about love. We're going to talk about love and...
Well, it is Christmas.
Couples, and everyone coming up. I mean, there was a lot of love on the square this Christmas.
Yes,
and so I've kind of compiled it as one thing. Just talk about one bit by bit. So if we start off with Denzal and Amy, their relationship's kind of growing. He made her a playlist on presumably Spotify. I don't know. Other brands are available.
Whatever the kids do these days when they make
whatever
the mixtape.
The young people. Don't they just get that, just take it off YouTube and just listen to it on there? Well, no, because you can't do a playlist on YouTube. I don't know. Anyway, each YouTube. Oh, can you? But you have to keep your phone on, don't you? But Spotify. But then you can get Spotify for free with adverts. But you can't.
Yes.
Why are we talking about it? He makes a playlist for Amy.
Yes.
Amy's a bit like, oh, these songs are a bit crap. And Denzal's like, no, it's not the song.
Read the titles.
It's the titles than that. Of the song.
Denzal's
deeper.
Denzal's quite deep and romantic deep down, isn't he?
Yeah. Thanks to Patrick. Patrick kind of splashed that idea into his face. I'm telling you,
Patrick and Denzal's relationship, I absolutely adore. I think it's the sweetest thing to come out. I love it. I absolutely love it. It's like I think
that's what Patrick needs. Patrick needs a kind of to be a fatherly figure or a grandfatherly figure, I guess, in this case. Like he had it. He did it with Paul. He did it with Anthony. He kind of did it, with Isaac. Yeah. He needs someone to look after. Yeah. He doesn't like to be looked after. He likes to look after. And I feel like you say, this relationship between Denzal and Patrick, perhaps that's the love that we should talk about on this section, because you know it's a nice kind of like a
fatherly sonny type relationship. It's really nice. It's really, really sweet. I love it. Yes, so I mean, not a huge amount kind of kicked off with Denzal and Amy this week, but it was basically just that, and the fact that Denzal kind of made this romantic move, and you could tell it had a really nice effect on Amy. So that's kind of gone a little bit to sort of pushing her into a better place, which is lovely, and I think was the main kind of reason that the scenes existed, was just to sort of really kind of cement these two together, because obviously you know they're clearly going to be love's young dream moving forward, which is fine. I thought the scenes were really sweet, and yeah, what I'm interested in is to kind of see Nugget's reaction from here on in, because Nugget's got the potential to be like a jealous friend, and I quite like that. You know, that Nugget's kind of just going to be this, because he's so immature. Nugget, he's so immature, and he's clearly going to do this thing where, you know, he's seeing his mate being taken away by a girl, and he's going to try and, you know, throw all the bros before hoes code in and all that kind of thing. So I'm quite looking forward to seeing that. You know, what I'm really loving with this group of kids is the teenage issues and the realistic issues they kind of keep throwing out as to what it's like being a kid. It's the best representation of young characters I've seen on soap in a long time. So
no, very long time, incredibly long time. Let's never remember, as I always bring up, that TikTok incident.
The dance, yes, we know.
Yeah, that still cracks me up watching that. In my dreams. I mean, yes, and also we'll see in 2023, I'm sure, the relationship between Denzal and Amy, and how he looks after Amy and her very fragile state at the moment. So yeah, that really good, lovely. So the other love on the square is between Jay and Lola. Lola's feeling very upset. Lola's worrying because every time they talk about the future, she's kind of decided that there's no point kind of planning anything any longer.
She realises she's not going to be part of the future. So I mean, I cannot even begin to imagine how you even start to sort of compute that in your head. Like I honestly, and the way that they're portraying it feels really real. And Danielle Howell is just absolutely playing a blinder. Do you know the most frustrating thing about this story is that she's not been allowed to get her teeth into a story like this before?
No, I agree.
You're watching her and you're kind of thinking, why are we losing you? You're so good. Which, you know, the point of giving a story like this to someone good is so that it hits you like a truck emotionally, and it is doing that. But it's sort of just like, what a talent to lose. So I hope she goes on to big and huge things when this story's done, because she's amazing.
I agree with you. I mean, they brought back Lola, and a fan favourite, so a lot of people were very excited about her coming back. Yeah, her story was she came back with Ben to get revenge on Phil. That kind of got forgotten, and since then she's kind of just been floating around with not much purpose behind her, other than to kind of be like a wingman for, you know, Ben and Callum. Looking after her daughter Lexi, and I agree with you. I feel like watching her perform this, it was such class and such, you know, eloquence, and it just feels like such a shame that she's now having, you know, this is going to be played out and this will be her last.
My God, they're all smashing this story out of the park.
They really are, and it's sweet. Great. It's really sweet, and you know, Jay proposed to Lola. They're getting married. I see a hospital bed marriage coming up.
Yeah, I think so.
It's like something very sad like that. But and it snowed on the square as well. Polystyrene has
kind of snowed on the square. Like Jay basically let off a load of polystyrene in a wood chipper or something and blew it everywhere, which is going to be a nightmare for the market traders the next day. Like, I don't know who the street cleaner.
There was no market the next day.
No, I know, but I don't know who the street sweeper is at the moment since Robbie left. But someone every Christmas they must think, oh, for Christ's sake, not again! It's the busiest time of the year for them. It's cleaning up all the fake snow that always gets blown everywhere on Christmas Day on Albert Square.
I know. So inconsiderate. The only place that was open on Boxing Day was Kathy's. Kathy seemed to be the hub of rumour and gossip.
Queen.
She really is, isn't she? She knows how to make her money.
She knows.
And so then the last thing is Jean. Jean's back together with Harvey. They ended up smooching on the sofa watching horror films today, but not before they played the well-known board game.
Nothing makes you hornier than the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Absolutely. And after playing the well-known board game Murder Run, which is loosely but not entirely based on the game of Cluedo.
It seems more like The Traitors to me, because Jean was accusing Bobby, who Bobby, by the way, seems to be in a rave era. Have you noticed? Like, he was fully up for like kind of going out and living up large this week, which seems like
young. It's just us two old fogies going, young people having fun.
I know, but I just thought
and dance and rave.
I know, but I just kind of thought that Bobby was more the sort of person who kind of like just to stay in and play a board game. You know, I thought he'd be quite up for that. But no, he was trying to drag Freddie out to this kind of warehouse rave and was like all dressed up and everything, ready to have a banging night. Which I like this for Bobby. His rave era, I can embrace it. I enjoy it.
Freddie with his Zuko curl, getting ready to go out.
I mean, he's got a fashion. He has a fashion.
He's got a style, and he's sticking to it.
He can do extraordinary things with his fashion. Not pleasant things, but he can do extraordinary things with his fashion. He's great. I love it.
So I'm sorry, I'm intrigued. The main thing with the Gene and Harvey thing, and I told you this before we start recording, was this game murder run. Now I'm intrigued.
Can I just say, settle down, everybody, because you're in for about a 5-minute rant here. So
it was not a rant. It's like,
get comfortable.
So we discussed it, as I said, before we started recording. I said, surely there's no trademark to Cluedo. They could use Cluedo. We looked it up because I was intrigued. And yes, no, Hasbro does have the trademark. But but I feel like they could have done better than Mr. Brown in Lava Land with the bow and arrow.
I'd play it. 100% I'd play that. 100% I'd play that.
And Lava Land?
Lava Land.
Lava Land.
It seemed especially... It's a place where you can buy lava lamps from. It's a shop.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I got a lava lamp for Christmas, just to let you know. And I mean, I quite like it, but anyway, it's such a small immaterial.
It's a small
fact.
detail, and it is immaterial, and I know, but it just kind of pulled.
But
you know, my whole thing is like, I love to be when I'm watching EastEnders. I love to be because it's kitchen sink, yes. And so I like to sit there and I like to be sucked in. And I know soaps aren't the same as they used to be in the 80s and 90s, and so you don't kind of get the same kind of effect. It doesn't quite feel quite the same as society and whatever, blah blah blah. But like when you like make up games like that, it just kind of because especially since they use Instagram, they actually used Instagram.
Yeah, no, I don't know how. I don't know. They sometimes they seem to get away with things like Facebook and everything.
They're meta. They're like that.
Yeah, and then but then sometimes they use actual.
Maybe
Facebook,
Zuckerberg.
Don't they?
Well, Zuckerberg, maybe he likes a bit of his haunted face. He just sits there in a cold room with just the TV beaming on his very pale face while he thinks about how he can like take over governments and be angry at like the world. He likes EastEnders, and he's partial to a bit of that as well.
Right.
In Lava Land.
Lava Land. So there we are then. So yeah, Harvey and Gene are back together, and basically that's all. Freddie's plan basically was to sort of just
back on track.
I'll try. I'm trying to here, Alex. You're never having coffee again before a podcast. I'm telling you that for a fact. Especially this brand. I should never have bought you it. I should have bought you a plant.
What plant?
Whichever little plant, cannabis plant. It would have made you more chilled. Who knows? And yeah, so Freddie and Bobby are very bored playing this board game with Gene because the whole family just abandons Gene. It's like, no, I'm not doing that tonight, Mum. I'll see you later, and kind of ran out of the house, leaving Freddie and Bobby sort of just to sort of play this game with her. They got bored and basically fobbed Harvey off with Gene and kind of just ran out the door and left Harvey and Gene in the house. And Gene kind of worked out what was going on. I was just like, oh, all right. Well, Bobby was getting on my nerves anyway, which I quite liked. Bobby kept winning, so Gene was getting irritated by that. So that was fine.
She's a bad loser, isn't she?
She is a bad loser. She's never been very good at losing board games as Gene. She gets quite competitive, like someone else I could know. So basically then they sort of start talking, and by the end of the evening they're sort of snogging while some poor woman gets garroted on the TV in front of them while they're watching the Chainsaw Massacre. Ah.
Love is in the air. I mean, I'm kind of looking forward with all these relationships all stacking up. I feel like the Valentine's Day episode of EastEnders is going to be a doozy this year.
It's going to be an orgy.
A square orgy.
I haven't had one of them for a while, have we? That'd be lovely.
No, about time as well.
What should I dress up as there? A cherub? I could dress up as a cherub for Valentine's Day. Yeah. Christmas angel.
You know what? We live in a free world. You do whatever you want. You do you. So anyway, so that's
all I can do these days.
On that bombshell, I think we need to talk about the big story, the big bombshell this week, and that's coming up next. Farewell then to Mick and to Janine.
Oh, what episode Christmas Day. I was very... I've interrupted you. I'm sorry.
You're fine. You're fine.
Buzzing with Christmas festivities and excitement. I loved it. Did you not love it? I loved it. I
did like the Christmas Day episode. I know it had a few mixed opinions on it, but actually I didn't think it was too bad. I really did enjoy it. Perhaps it was because I was drunk. Like I said, in that kind of drunk. Perhaps it was because I was in that kind of state, when you kind of just sat there and you just want to relax and you just want to watch something, and it's quite exciting, and it kind of woke me up a little bit.
High octane.
I still feel like it was on too late, but that's a scheduling problem, not an EastEnders problem. I don't know. That's just me. But no, really did enjoy it. And I thought the build up was really exciting and fun and quite camp, which is, again, I don't mind. I enjoyed that. I loved Shirley just drinking her glass of wine while
watching the carnage she caused.
Yeah. Our most popular tweet of all time, by the way.
Yes.
Just reposted that.
Congratulations.
So thank you everyone who followed and liked and watched and retweeted that on our Twitter at Walford Weekly. But yeah, no, really, 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 really fun. And, you know, it wasn't without its kind of like things there and here and there, but that's, to be fair, that's part and parcel of what I enjoyed about it as well. It kind of felt like it was kind of like, it felt rough around the edges. Yes. And I didn't mind that. It did crack me up that a lot of people pointed out that they would have been chasing each other for over 2 hours if basically they were having on the
Well, see, now, interestingly, I looked into this because when he mentioned, because we had said, right, how the hell are they going to end up on a cliff? Because where is the nearest cliff to London, right? So I typed into Google London to Dover, okay, and this is the image that I got.
Rob is right now on Apple Maps looking up the distance between the two places.
If you look at that, right, and I'll send the picture over to you so you can do like screen grabs and stuff like that. There is easy ways to kind of get quite close to a cliff if you look at the kind of route that you would have to have taken to get to Dover. And I can imagine that they would have been going for a couple of hours the way that they were going. It's kind of quite close to the coast in quite a long way of the way there. Once you get to about,
you can put your phone down now, Rob.
Once you get to trying to help. Once you get to like Canterbury way. So I you know what? Once I had a look at that, I was kind of like, all right, I'll buy that. That's all right. That's okay. That's not
for 2 hours though. That's a long chase with them going, Janine. Slow down, Janine.
Got to catch up with them. Janine was driving very fast.
She was.
And talking about that car chase, I mean, we're going to be going all over the place here because it was such a big episode. One of the things I loved about the car chase was the fact that I cannot remember the last time that when they'd done like car scenes and stuff. Yeah, the stuff that was going on when it was just those two cars, you know, and they were kind of running down the thing like around the cliff area. That was, you know, that could have just been sort of kind of a lane that they closed off so that they could film all their stuff. That's fine, you know, and they look good. But there was also some scenes like on the main roads, like with other cars and like other traffic. I cannot remember the last time they did that.
I can't either. No, I thought amazing. The exact same thing because I kept drawing me back to the whole Mel driving and Sharon chasing her, and they closed that road off in order to do it. I think they named the road they did it on. It was like
Mel Road.
Yes, the A-Mel. But like it was really good. It felt really gritty
real,
and fun, and real, and really
loved
fun.
It.
Yeah, no, so I agree with you on that, and I loved it was like I say, it was fun. It was fun, but exciting and tense at the same time, which is kind of what I want from a chase like that to be. If that makes sense. And it felt like the Christmas Day was the right time to do it as well. I think if they'd done it in like September or perhaps for an anniversary, they would maybe have to have done it with a little bit more kind of really. I think about like Boat Week, because Boat Week was very kind of real. It felt very dark and like of the moment, and so it worked. With this, because it was a little bit loose and a little bit rough.
Yeah,
it felt okay, and I was all right with that. And because it was Christmas Day, and as I say, I was comatose on my sofa, with bacon rashers in one hand, and you know the crisp, which are vegan, of course. And a can of Carling in the other.
I'm beyond questioning you about that sort of thing now. I just accept it. You could turn around to me and say, yeah, I had an enormous beef joint in my hand. I'm assuming that must be vegan, then that's fine. If Alex eats it, that's fine.
I literally ate a lamb off a field. I just shaved a little part of it and took it, like Silence of the Lambs. Like literally Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah.
Like when he takes the head off them and starts eating their brain and fries it up.
Hello, Clarice.
Yes.
Right, so
I loved it. So fun.
I mean, let's go through it. Okay, so the whole kind of day starts. Janine's having a great Christmas at the start of it. She's got everything that she wants.
She's got married to Mick.
She got married to Mick. Mick's kind of got her down the aisle. She's got a family there. Scarlet's there. Stop it. And everything seems to be going absolutely fine. She, and Mick's chucked Shirley out. Linda's not around, so Janine's kind of living on cloud nine at this stage. Like she's having a great time. She gets out and kind of steps outside where she finds Mick talking to Shirley, and they're all kind of talking quite calmly. Like Shirley's trying to sort of kind of be the bigger person, say, "All right, I'm sorry. Okay, I got it wrong. Like, I'm okay." And Mick's like, "Yeah, of course you did. Okay, fine. It's Christmas. Let's let bygones be bygones." Janine steps out and kind of like begins to sort of taunt them, and then spots Jada, who has come in to visit Sharon across the road, kind of stepping out, and she's immediately like, kind of like, right, everyone in the bit, quick, go, in, yeah, we can have Christmas dinner with us, in you go, quick, just to kind of get everybody out of sight of Jada. Now, Sharon, eventually, who was kind of set up her own Christmas dinner, and once all the awful cracker jokes have been said, they kind of get out of Jada exactly what happened. Basically, Sharon's role in Christmas Day was to instigate the whole kit and caboodle by bringing Jade over, and then go back and eat a Christmas pudding.
Yeah, I know.
Really?
Sharon kind of dropped the bomb and then just walked off. And
The
glass
quiet
of wine.
Sharon was the quiet agent of chaos on Christmas Day. Just sort of dropped her bomb and then just went back for her pigs in blankets.
I loved seeing Jada. By the way, I feel
Jada's
like
great.
that Jada was a real missed opportunity, and I hope that they now
Jada.
find a way, especially now that there's a reason she can come back, because now she's admitted it. And because Zach and Martin were both a bit like, I'm not surprised Linda doesn't want to spend time here, what you did. And that's what made Jada ultimately tell the truth.
Yeah.
And now she has told the truth. I feel like Jada has a place to be back on the programme.
Yeah,
so
because that's
I'm
the
all
whole point
for
of running
that.
away. That's the whole point
Jada.
of her running away in the first place, wasn't it? So I hope Jada can find a place back in the square, because I really like her. So Sharon and Jada walk across to the Vic, and basically Jada says it was her. She did it all. She made me do it. And then kind of Mick chucks her out, but then starts to turn to Janine, and then one of those just lovely scenes that EastEnders does so well at Christmas, especially when there's a revelation that needs to happen, where it's just like the revelations and the secrets slowly get drip fed throughout the scene, and the tension is unbearable, and you're just sort of waiting for the next big explosion to happen. It was just beautiful. And Scarlet eventually kind of feels all guilty and says, yeah, Mum did this. Like, Mum was driving the car. It just all kind of pours out of her mouth, and Janine is literally kind of stuck there watching the house of cards crashing down around her. And this is when Janine is literally at her most dangerous in any kind of scenario, because when she, her back is against the wall, so she starts lashing out at people. And eventually Mick works out what has gone on. Linda kind of puts all the pieces together, and they realise that Janine was behind the wheel of the car, moved Linda into the driving seat, and that all of it was a lie. So Janine and Mick then have a fantastic scene in the bedroom. Now, there were parallels here, Alex. Did you notice? Did you notice any of the parallels between... We said about the fact that there was a cliff going on, and was like, oh, God, is Mick going to go over the cliff, because Janine and Barry, is that what's going to happen? However, did you not kind of think that there were parallels, but Janine played the role of Barry? Because Mick was turning around to her and saying, no, it was a fantasy, you disgust me, and all the kind of things that Janine had said to Barry when they were standing on the edge of a cliff. And Janine was the one that ended up going over the side of the cliff in the car. I felt that there was sort of deliberate parallels there, which I quite liked. I could have just made that up, but
I'll be honest, that's not something that's, again, as I said, it's not something I spotted particularly, but I'm sure you're right. Because Mick did get back together with Linda as well, didn't he? So it's because it was brought up about Janine and Paul, and that that was meant to be the kind of like she was seeing Paul while she was with Barry, and I think she still was seeing Paul once Barry got pushed down the cliff. So I think yes, you well spotted, young Jedi. I think you could be right there. That's all right.
Young tinsely glittery Jedi.
Yeah, my little camp Jedi me. But yeah, I mean, Janine, as you say, this is what happened to Janine from the moment the dinner kind of unraveled to the moment she was at the cliff is classic Janine. She scrambles, she scrapes, she does anything to kind of get herself out of trouble, and then they kind of spill over. Then when they got back to the square, when she's kind of desperately trying to get Scarlet to lie to the police, because Ricky then phones the police to get Janine arrested, and so forth. I mean, let's not
fast forward over the.
I don't want to fast forward because I do want to talk about the photo and the relevance of that.
None,
and perhaps
in the end.
That's what I mean. I felt like the whole kind of tension with the photograph and Scarlet hiding it. Other than the fact that Scarlet felt like it had some kind of
it was
emphasis.
basically just basically all the photo really was basically just the first domino, effectively, wasn't it? To sort of kind of set everything else in motion, which I think kind of worked, because it's not like they were all looking at the photo and sort of pulling out pieces of evidence that weren't really there, because sometimes what will happen is, instead of putting 2 and 2 together to make 4, they'll put together like 1.8 and 2.3 together to make 4, which, it's kind of like, where did you get those theories from to actually land on the truth? That doesn't make any sense. So that didn't happen, which I appreciated. They sort of, basically Scarlet was the one that kind of just basically set everything in motion, which I quite liked, which basically ultimately ended in Janine saying to Scarlet, I don't want you, like, you're staying here, I'm going. Goodbye.
Oh yeah, she started telling everyone that Scarlet had mental illness.
Mental health. Can I just say, my mum was watching. Oh, my mum was watching the Christmas Day episode with me, right? She was a mess by the end, by the way. She's had a couple of wines. She was a mess by the end. She was crying her eyes out by the end, but she was incensed when Janine said that about Scarlet. Utterly incensed.
It was an awful thing to say that.
My mum
to
went
her
through
own
the
daughter.
ringer on Christmas Day watching EastEnders. I tell you, she was distraught.
But it just goes to show that Janine, as much as Janine says as fam, she will say anything, but she will always look after number one, and number one is always her. Yeah, and the fact she said that, not only that she said it, but she said it in front of her daughter as well. Her daughter heard that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's such a
Which
terrible
is interesting
thing to do.
because you could sort of draw more parallels. Now, Frank was never that type of person ever, and I'm not saying for a second that he was. But it's
he loved Janine.
Yeah, he did love Janine,
and I don't think he never threw Janine under the bus for his own
never. He
gain.
would never have done anything like that. And yes, he abandoned her, but it was sort of just more out of incompetence.
That was his own mental health, though,
than spite. Exactly.
And his incompetence, as you're right. Yeah.
And it's just interesting that, Janine's sort of whole story is pinned so much on that night that Frank abandoned her, or kind of the numerous times that kind of Frank let her down, but not in a vindictive way, but just more out of just the fact that he was Frank and he was just what he did to any woman that kind of came across his way. But it's so interesting that Janine's whole story and her whole MO is based around how her relationship with Frank, and then she turns around and does 10 times worse to Scarlet, and then wonders why Scarlet wouldn't defend her. And genuinely shocked and surprised that Scarlet wouldn't defend her as well. Like, it's this is why Janine's my favourite character of all time, because there's so much to her as a character. She's not just your standard soap bitch. When she is done right, she is the most fascinating, layered character in the show's history. I don't care what anyone says. I adore her. I can't wait for her to come back. So,
but again, it's almost like the Lola thing, is the fact that it's taken them so long to find this Janine that we kind of all wanted them to find. Yeah. And now she's sadly now gone. It's gone again. And it's like we wanted it so long, and now it's gone. And it's not to any fault of the production crew necessarily, because they weren't to know. Well, if the actress wanted to leave, That's what they wanted to do. She's lucky that she was able to leave on such a big story, and they were able to. They were able to intertwine it with Mick's leaving as well, Danny Dyer. But. Yeah, I mean,
let's talk
madness.
About
Let's talk about it
because it all goes mental, and I think this is kind of what maybe a couple of people kind of complained that it maybe got a little bit melodramatic towards the end, but I didn't care because I was just completely gripped by it all by that point. So this car chase is going on. Janine's fled the square. Mick and Linda are kind of like, I think not, madam, and then sort of just chase her away, and they end up like along the cliffs of Dover, which however long that might have taken, they've got there at the speed of like, who cares, right? They're down by the cliffs of Dover, along the coast, essentially via cliff. And there was another great scene when they managed to make Janine stop the car, and Mick and Janine are sort of kind of talking, having one last final scene together. And then Janine's real character comes out, and she starts calling him pathetic and calling him an abused boy, and saying, "Oh, what are you going to do? You're going to cry," and all just that stuff that Janine does when she is so backed against the corner and she just lashes out. Yeah. And that brilliant moment where kind of Mick held her and just stared into her eyes and said, "Oh, there you are. There's the real Janine. Where have you been? I love that. Love that.
He loved holding her head, didn't he?
Oh, he did that a fair bit. Yeah, he did that a bit. Yeah.
Her eyes kept going back like that, like help.
Yeah, no, she's got there. And so basically, Janine manages to escape, gets in the car. Now, Linda decides to just jump in the car with her at that point, because how else were you going to stop a psychopath behind the wheel apart from trying to kill her? So whatever. And then they ended up going over the cliff. Now, I have to say, the whole sequence, from the second they started going out onto main roads up until the moment the car flew off the cliff, I honestly thought the whole thing looked like it cost £1 million. I thought it looked amazing. I was surprised.
Alone, eh?
I mean, yeah, we're going to get some very dodgy shots in the coming year. Let's just prepare ourselves for that, because it all spends on Christmas.
We won't be able to hire the Shenanigan warehouse either.
No, it'll just be a shed. It'll be the ultimate shed.
Shenanigan shed.
Yeah. And so the car goes over the side. Linda and Janine in their second car crash of the year together in the same car. That's just unfortunate, really. That's just carelessness by this point, I think. And both of them absolutely fine by the end as well. I like the fact that this era has kind of cemented Janine as the new Phil. Like, no matter how many car crashes you throw her in, she will be fine. And the baby will be fine as well. Apparently the baby's absolutely fine. So the baby was not a scratch on the baby, so all is well there. And basically just the way that, and the sad way that it happened was that Mick dived into the sea, managed to get Janine out, and then just as he's going back into the sea, which is getting all choppy and all crazy and stuff, Linda comes out on the other end, and Mick is just sort of taken out to sea, and we don't see a body,
What we don't, we've not had a body yet.
To all
we've not had a body yet.
To all intents and purposes, Mick drowned at sea, was kind of washed out to sea, and apparently will never be seen again.
I mean, now, let's be honest, it's been left open.
Of course, it's
been left open,
and I think that's the right way to do it.
People were right to say the parallels toward the Harold and Madge and Neighbours. He'll come back, part of the Salvation Army, with his memory completely erased.
Probably, and
you know, he'll be there rattling while I can imagine Linda with a very husky, Madgy voice in about 10 minutes. Right, Mick. Hi, I fall off the wagon a couple of times.
She'll have to start smoking 50 a day before she gets to that point. I mean, the whole mad emotion of all that kind of thing. Like I say, my mum was on the sofa sobbing her eyes out by the end of the episode, and I was sort of almost like, "Oh, this is good. This is really good." Like, and it seems the best way for Mick and Linda to be parted. You know, just one final act of love between them that ultimately rips them apart. I bought that. I liked it.
Yeah, it's fine. It just hovers that question mark once again, and especially since that. Excuse me a moment. At the end of the week, obviously we know that Shirley leaves, but we'll talk about that as well in a moment.
Yeah, got that.
But it leaves just a big question mark over what purpose is there for Linda other than could they bring a character back, her to be around or with?
Clennis has done an interview, Alex, for answering that very question.
Well, no, he has. Because he said that she's going to be given us a never-before done story, which also fills me with fear.
God knows what that'll be. He's basically come out and said, trust us, don't worry. Linda is very much at the centre of the show. We've got huge plans for Linda. So Linda's going nowhere. They've done what I think, by the sound of things, they've done exactly, they've sort of sorted that plan right out from the start and said, right, we need to sort out what we're doing with Linda then. We need to be organised here and not just do this by the seat of our pants. We need to plan long and far ahead for Linda, which seems to be what they're doing. So let's just wait and see what's coming for Linda. Yes, the idea of a never before done story is slightly bum clenching. We'll see what happens there, but I'm sure it'll be fine. I'm sure it'll be handled
a lot better, because the last time they did a never before story was the FGM story, and that was literally 2 scenes over 2 weeks and then just forgotten about, and then both the characters left, and it was just like, that really wasn't done with much tendency at all, was it? That was pretty bad. But as you say, Clennis is a different era, and he's proven that he can do things a lot better than perhaps previous eras, and so it's I'm quietly optimistic that I'm hoping that this never before story will be exciting. However, with the story that we're in right now, Shirley and Linda are now coping with the news that they believe that Mick might be dead, but neither of them are kind of
Shirley.
Linda has accepted it and has decided that, she doesn't need the body to prove that he's died, and is now doing the family tour and telling everyone just so they can have reasons for why they can't turn up for his funeral. Shirley is staying.
Well, they might not even have a funeral because they won't have a body. So they might not even get.
They can do a ceremony though. They'll probably do a ceremony.
Yeah, but they won't do an actual funeral. I wouldn't have thought.
No. Shirley stayed behind
and do ashes with that. Maybe.
Just burn the dressing gown in the pit. Shirley stayed behind, quite intoxicated, and has been
off a nut essentially.
On a kind of a constant vodka dream. And news is spreading around the square because the Walford Gazette has spread that there's been an accident, and everyone's kind of put 2 and 2 together, and they've worked out that obviously it's probably Mick. And that Shirley's kind of gone off the rails somewhat now, and is kind of trying to find the finger to blame people.
I mean, the poor girl's off the rails more than Thomas the Tank Engine, isn't she? She's constantly off the rails. I mean, there was some great stuff with Linda Henry this week. That woman deserves all the awards. I mean, everybody involved over Christmas did incredible. I love it. There wasn't anybody that did badly over Christmas. Everyone was amazing. I mean, yes, poor Linda, because she's lost the love of her life. You accept that. That's the different thing altogether. But my God, I can't believe Shirley's going through this again. Poor cow.
I know.
She's only just got over Tina, and now she's going to have to cope with losing Mick as well. So I wonder she and Lady Di trotted off into the night together. My God, poor woman.
I feel it's a shame that they killed Tina. I still think there was that opportunity. They all the Carters have to have that kind of like that grasp, but they could still be alive somewhere. You know what I mean?
It's always Tina, a bit of a mystery, isn't it?
They're on an island somewhere now. Tina and Mick having a few cocktails.
I think it's fair to say that Aunt Babe's curse did its thing, didn't it? Really, the curse has ended. because basically all the Carters have basically just gone and disintegrated. It's just all
Well,
that curse did its thing.
do you think that in a few years' time, if Danny Dyer decides, because he said he won't come back unless he needs the money, basically.
As soon as I'm a celebrity, call him. He'll be back. I'm telling you.
Yeah. So do you think that the story will be, and I love this idea, that he basically was found by Aunt Babe, and that he's now like staying in the caravan with
nursed
Aunt
back
Babe?
to health like misery.
Oh, that's what essentially Aunt Babe did, wasn't it? With I forget
baby stuff and with Queenie Trot. Yes.
And Queenie, that's it. Yeah. So you know, she could have Mick there. Mick's completely void of knowledge of his past.
I mean, I have
he's
to
being
say,
looked after by Aunt Babe. That'd be great because then they could bring back Aunt Babe. Mick will come back.
I'd love to see Aunt Babe back. I have to say, the problem with doing this is right off the bat, I utterly despise amnesia stories in soaps. I hate them.
They don't do them very often.
They're never and they're for a reason because they're crap. You know, Emmerdale did one a few years back, and I'm just like, why? It's the most bad. It's the worst sort of storytelling because it's just not how it's not how it works. I know it does. I know it can happen, but do one like. The problem is that's the only way this is going to work, isn't it?
Well, to compare to Neighbours again, Mrs. Mangle, she lost her memory, didn't she?
She did.
This all comes together.
It's not Neighbours. Yeah, he might end up in the new Neighbours when that comes back. He'll wash up in Erinsborough, so having gone all the way through the North Sea, all the way through the Atlantic Ocean, all the way through the Pacific Ocean, just washed up on Erinsborough shores. That's where we'll next see Mick.
Imagine a Mick Carter crossover in Neighbours.
That would be fun, wouldn't it? Where could Mick have ended up? So yeah, Boxing Day, like I say, was amazing. I thought Boxing Day was great. There was a lovely scene between Linda, Shirley, and Janine in the Vic. You know, when they were all basically just shouting and yelling at each other, and Shirley tried to kill Janine, and Ollie came down. Ollie, by the way, has taken over as my favourite kid, as in cute little kid on the squad.
Mick Jr.
Oh, I love Ollie. He's so cute.
He's just a little Danny Dyer, though, don't you think?
He is. He will be. It will be.
Good casting.
It is. So Linda's got all that to deal with, and it was just heartbreaking, all of it. And eventually, like we said, Janine is trying to desperately kind of make Scarlet tell the police, just tell her you lied, tell them you lied. And she can't do that. Ricky rings the police, shops his own sister into the police, which feels like it's been done before with Ricky ringing the police, but has it actually? Because it feels like something Ricky should have done a long time ago.
He probably would have. Ricky's a kind soul, to be fair to him. And I don't know if Ricky's
actually ever done that before, but it seems a good time for him to do it if he hasn't done it before. So
comment below, historians of EastEnders, and let us know.
But basically, Janine's time on the square ends with, just like the time it did last time, with her in the back of a police car, kind of just staring all dazed around her, sifting through the wreckage of her own behaviour, and then going off in the back of a police car, and we will presumably learn that she's been charged and thrown in and all of this off screen, but she will have been charged, and then we will see her again when we next see her again, if we ever see her again. I hope we see her again.
Well, so do I.
Put myself in. Carry on, Alex.
Go on, you carry on plugging yourself in. And I'm going to talk a little bit about Shirley's relationship with Scarlet, because Shirley is at the beginning of this, Shirley kind of point blank blamed Scarlet for everything that happened because she was keeping so many secrets from the family. There was that scene where she uncomfortably shouted at Scarlet in the kitchen in the Vic in front of Denise and Jean. Denise and Jean didn't jump to Scarlett's defense. No, then later
would you dare?
No, true.
When Shirley's in that mode, I think I just backed out. Yeah, right. That's fine.
Yeah, but also Denise was trying to eat a sandwich with a knife and fork, which offended me immensely.
Civilized queen.
She was cutting the sandwich with a knife and fork.
I think it was because she wanted to. I don't think even Denise does that, but I think it's something that she was kind of just doing out of awkwardness, because clearly Denise didn't have a clue what she was doing there. She was like, "Why have I volunteered for this? I should be at home eating pigs in blankets. What am I doing here, dealing with this grief?"
I just felt like at some point she was going to put a little bit on the thing. Goes, "Here comes the choo-choo train."
She was that close to doing that, wasn't she? That's what she was doing. She was cutting up Shirley's food for her. That's what she was doing. Yeah.
Anyway, but Scarlet then runs away, goes to Uncle Ricky. Uncle Ricky's like buys fish and chips, but Scarlet's too upset to eat those fish and chips. I'm never too upset to eat fish and chips, just so people know. So if you ever come visit, bring chips.
You can't have fish and chips.
Well, bring chips. Just bring the chips.
Just chips.
Just chips. Chaps. And vinegar first, and then the salt.
Cool.
So, and Scarlet...
Noted.
But Shirley then visits Scarlet, and there's that really wonderful moment where Shirley talks to Scarlet about Dean and how
Yes.
she doesn't think that although everything that Dean's done was vicious and nasty and just horrible things. He's still her son, and he doesn't think he's evil by purpose. He's just done a few things in the misdirection because of grief, being upset, confusion, and so she says like, so I'm relating that to your mum. I don't hate your mum, and I don't think she's evil. I just think that she's just been given a bad hand in life, and that a few things have happened that's caused this to happen, cause and effect. And I think that's exactly what Scarlet wanted to hear, because up until that point,
it was really big as Shirley.
It was big as Shirley, and up until that point, all Scarlet's been hearing from Sonia, from Ricky, from everyone, and all the public, is that Janine is a bad person. She's an awful person. She's evil, and she deserves everything she got. And it's, that's her mum at the end of the day. And Scarlet didn't need to hear that. Scarlet just needed a bit of comforting that, yes, what Janine did was bad, but she's still your mother. You still have permission to love her, and it's okay. Yes, we won't judge you for that. And I thought that was a really lovely moment between them. Oh, but
yes, but what I wonder also is, by doing that, by kind of shielding her, because a lot of, there was Scarlet at one point turned around to both Ricky and Shirley and said, "Has my mum murdered someone? Is that what's happened?" And neither of them gave her a straight answer. So
That's true, because she was questioning a lot of things.
Yeah, she was questioning a lot of things that she'd overheard.
Michael, her mum, her dad, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, she overheard Stacey talking about her, and Janine and Stacey, there was never going to be a kind word said about that behind each other's back.
No.
And what I found interesting was the fact that nobody really gave her a straight answer. Yes, Shirley had that moment with her, but did she almost give Scarlet a little bit too much leeway with Janine there? And is that going to be something in Scarlet's future? I mean, I'm fully under the impression that Scarlet's leaving soon, so maybe in a few years' time.
Well, she's going with Ricky, isn't she? She's
going
which
to Germany with
Ricky.
Just say.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
But will that I thought that was interesting that maybe might give Scarlet that little glimpse and glimmer of hope that Janine always had with Frank, where, there is some good in my mother, which will always give Janine that crack to kind of come back into her life. And sort of, so maybe that might not be as good a thing for Scarlet as we immediately think it is in the future, for when we next see the character. I don't know.
I think for the time, though, I think for that moment.
For her age, yes, but they're impressionable.
Well, yeah, absolutely. But I think where Scarlet was kind of, like, the last thing she needed was to hear that this person who, is her, maternally, her, part of her, that she is evil. You don't want to hear that about your mum.
It's hard. It's hard.
And so I feel like that was the right thing to say. I don't think they sugarcoated it, though. I don't think they said to Scarlet that what Janine had done was right.
She's a mare, but she's not evil.
Yeah. Everything she'd done, making you lie, and then, throwing those accusations at Scarlet, and also then what she did to Mick, what she did to the Carters as a family, the lie she did to Linda, the lie she did to the police. I don't think they ever said that was, that was a bit of a mistake. I think they knew that was one monumental F-up. Yes. But at the same time, I think it's the right thing to say is that, but at the end of the day, she's your mum. She's not evil, and she perhaps, and in a way, she perhaps did it to protect Scarlet. There's that argument there. But as you say, Shirley was the bigger person to say that. Absolutely. Because Shirley didn't need to.
It was a huge character moment for Shirley as well, I think, because I think Shirley finds those sorts of moments very difficult. And she always has with like any kind of, like, I mean, look at Shirley's family. If you ever think that your family is messed up, have a look at Shirley Carter and thank your lucky stars that you're not her, because my God, that woman's family is in pieces. And I thought that was a huge moment for Shirley, which kind of makes it a pity then that Shirley then left.
Yes, with Lady Di.
An exit we did
Linda
not know
about this?
Well, exactly. It's not even Shirley's dog, is it? I'll take your dog while I'm at it.
I'll take the dog, yeah.
So Shirley's kind of gone off. She's decided basically it's too many bad memories in the square, which you can kind of understand.
She's off to see Carly. I love that, Carly. By the way.
Yeah,
lovely reference.
Carly. And Carly can deal with it, frankly. Like, Carly, where has Carly been throughout all this trauma for Shirley? It's time for her to step up, as far as I'm concerned.
I'd love Carly to come back.
Carly was great.
Just want to bring that one in as well.
But maybe she might. Maybe she might. That's another Carter. If they're going to kind of keep trying to kind of give Carter some relevance, and Carly Carter might be a good person to bring in. That might be interesting. We are assured, but we've heard this before, that Linda Henry is just on a break and that she will be coming back at some point. But we've heard that before.
I'm not sure.
We'll see. They have said Linda Henry will be returning to EastEnders, but like I say, I'm pretty sure that
in 20 years.
We heard that about Mr. Woodyats, didn't we? So we'll see. But I think it makes sense for Shirley to sort of have a little time away for now. So we'll see how long she's away for. Linda is away, sort of breaking the news to all and sundry. So we won't be seeing Linda for a little while, and obviously Janine's gone. So effectively, for now, this story is done. And I have to say, I thought Christmas Day was really, really, really good. Now, I'd be interested to know your opinion here, Alex, all right? I did a little poll on Facebook, okay?
We've lost Rob again.
Hi.
Anyone listening to this, Rob keeps popping in and out of shot.
Yes, right, so I did, because I thought it was the best Christmas in years and years and years, all right?
Oh, God, yeah.
So I would be interested to know... I would be interested to know your opinion and the opinion of our listeners, because I did some research and did a poll on the Facebook group about the past 10 Christmas Day episodes, and which one was the best out of all, including this year's, which one was the best out of them all, right?
Right.
And if I was to say to you, hang on, I just need to find it now, because what is it with the Facebook group? Like you
Would you want to go
all disappears? Yes.
Do you want to go through all 10? Well, no, I was going to say, I was going to give a suggestion. Why don't you go through all the 10 years and I'll give them a mark out of 10?
All right.
And I'll tell you what I thought of them.
Yeah, we'll do that. But I just need to find the.
There you go. Not that my opinion matters that much emphasis, everyone. So as Rob's doing that, I'm going to just go through how you can get in touch with us and let us know what you thought about the Christmas episodes and what you're looking forward to for the New Year's episodes, because obviously that's coming up on the horizon very, very soon. So you can get in touch with us on Instagram or Twitter at Walford Weekly. We have a Facebook group, which Rob's frantically trying to find, Walford Weekly podcast. That's
my bit you're doing here.
I am, just while you're taking time, but you can do it again later.
All right,
add the comments, and you can also comment below if you have any information, anything you want to talk about that we talked about on the podcast today. So go on then, Rob.
Okay, so the past 10 Christmas days, going back to 2012. Okay, so these are, and I want you to tell, right? So a mark out of 10 for each one. Okay, so 2012 was the death of Derek Branning.
4.
Okay. 2013 was Janine's exit. That's when David Wicks was back and she ran over him, and then she got arrested and pulled out, and then she ended up having a car chase around the marketplace. That episode, not bad.
7.5.
Okay. 2014 was the Carters and the rape reveal of Dean and he's your brother and all that stuff. Mick trashed
9, loved it.
Okay, cool.
I remember that one quite well.
Yes, I remember that one very well. 2015 was the Ian and Phil car crash. That was sort of more around the Bobby stuff, and not a huge amount happened that Christmas century.
No, I remember that.
It was more about the New Year's Day, wasn't it? Because that was when the big Ronnie and Roxy car crash happened and all that kind of thing. So the Christmas Day was just the Ian and Phil car crash.
5-6. It was nice. It was fine. It was what it was.
2016, Mac's return, I've got here, because I don't think I was watching at that point, because that was in the Sean O'Connor era.
I mean, I'm not a huge fan of Max anyway. I don't remember it too well, so I'll unmark that one. I don't remember that one too well.
N/A for that one.
Non-applicable, yeah.
2017, now this is a contender, was Abby and Lauren's fall from the Vic roof.
Oh, well, right, so...
Excellent episode.
This is how the podcast began.
Yes, it was. This is our birth.
Because they killed Abby Branning, which, to this day, is one of the greatest mistakes they ever made. Yeah. Because Abby Branning, we talk about Janine and how was such a great character and Laird
Abby
and all that
was
stuff.
Fantastic.
Abby was getting to that point.
Yes, she was.
And
I know Janine levels, absolutely.
And I know for a fact that the actress would have relished playing that part. They should never have killed her. No, and I tell you, Abby would still be on the program right now.
I mean, ever since Abby was a fascinating character, even from childhood. You could see that you could see the effect that's having Max as a parent was having on her.
Yeah, but she loved her dad so much.
She did,
and
just
on him so much.
Yeah,
and he didn't love her.
Yeah.
He preferred the other.
Abby was a fascinating character, but that was 2017. Now, obviously, a huge mistake, but you have to admit, cracking episode. Where Max.
Oh, it was a good episode. But they should never
downfall.
What
would you give that one? What would you give that one?
Episode
only, remember, not like
8.5, 9. Okay, 8.75.
You're an awkward arsehole. 2018 was the Alfie and Hayley reveal.
Oh God, that was ridiculous.
Cherry.
With a little strand of hair. Oh God. It wasn't great. And also, Alfie was at the bottom of the stairs, passed out, and Jean stepped over her.
Oh yeah,
and started giving out mince pies. It wasn't good.
I wasn't a fan of that one. 2019 was the Keanu reveal.
Oh, that was fun. I like that.
It was fun. Yeah.
8. It was
8.
count.
Okay.
8.
2020, Ian's attacker is revealed.
Ian's attacker.
That was to be fair, that was the time that we discovered that Sharon was turning into a bit of a nutter and poison.
Oh, the poison pudding.
Poison pudding. That's that Christmas.
Yeah. Oh, that was ridiculous. That was terrible. 1.
Oh dear.
The projection on the bridge of saying Ian build whatever, and then his death day, and like everyone was kind of looking around.
Weirdly,
awful.
That's the only part of that whole thing I liked. The rest of it,
really?
Can get in the sea. But I quite enjoyed that bit. I quite liked.
And they completely changed the character of Sharon for no reason.
Yeah.
Phil took no responsibility, which, by the way, he still hasn't taken responsibility. The fact that he has just as much a part to play in Denny's death than anyone bloody else.
Yes.
No, terrible. 1. If I could, 0, minus a million. Hated it.
Okay. And then and then last year was the Dottie and Rocky reveal.
1, 2.
Yeah. So really, and then what would you give this year?
Oh, I'd give it a solid 8. 8.5.
So, arguably, one of the best Christmas episodes in the past decade. By our scientific analysis. Well, I have to say, and then I did ask this question in the Facebook group and said, so best Christmas episode of the past 10 years, and then people started adding things, and then people started adding options like saying, well, frankly, I really enjoyed the Den and Angie Christmas of '86. It was defeated
the point 10 years ago, was it?
Defeated the point completely. What are you doing? Honestly. But
no, the best Christmas is when
the DVD.
Well, of course. No, that was a good Christmas. And oh my goodness, if you're watching this on YouTube, I'll put a link
Archie's death. Archie's death as well.
Yes, I suppose so. I was thinking of Arthur when he had the breakdown.
Of course you were.
I love that episode.
You're so stuck in the 80s, you know that, don't you?
I love Arthur. Move forward. My favourite character. I've told you that a million times.
I know.
Arthur. I loved that dedication saying all the people who had sadly died this year. Bill Tretcher was at the bottom. Yeah. I was really happy to see that.
When they do that list at the end of a year, EastEnders was brought to you in 2022 by, because it's my dream to work in EastEnders. I always like to pretend I sort of see where my name would fit in the list.
You could, Rob. Just Photoshop it in, and we'll believe you. We'll believe you one day. Lovely.
One day.
Oh, that was nice, wasn't it?
Fa la 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 la, and a partridge in a pear tree. That was Christmas this year. I think one of the best in years, and by our scientific analysis, clearly was one of the best in years. I tell you what, Alex, this team's good. We're all right. We're all right. You know, yes,
they're all right, aren't they?
We might have the odd storyline that's doing our nutting at the moment, you know, but when you've got a team that cares about the show as much as this lot do, it's entirely subjective and it doesn't matter. We're all right. We're in good hands. All is well.
Right.
We have one. Indeed. We have, before we finish, we have one final email to read out in I Ain't One to Gossip.
You know me, I ain't one to gossip.
So we have one email to read out.
We do.
And it was from Adam. Hello, Adam.
Hi, Adam. I can't move my head.
Although Christmas Day this year was amazing, probably the best Christmas episode since 2017 to 19, and the acting from the cast involved, especially on the Boxing Day episode, I can't help but feel that there was a little bit missing from this Christmas. I do worry for Harvey, as both of his kids are now gone. He is a lonely old man, apart from being mixed in with the Slaters, acting as a second Charlie. But I do think that over Christmas, they should have gone into doing a lonely man over Christmas, especially with EastEnders' Christmas theme this year being about family. They could have easily mixed it in. I'd love to know what you think. Thanks, Adam. Thank you, Adam, for your email.
Interesting, yeah.
That's interesting because they do kind of also gesture this Christmas about Sam being on her own as well. And
yeah, I thought that was interesting. Of all people to be on her own at Christmas, you wouldn't have thought Sam would have been that person. I do agree with that, actually. I was surprised that they kind of just sent Harvey off to see Dana for Christmas because I thought the way that they were going with Harvey, was that he was going to be lonely over Christmas, and Dana was going to like go on a kind of trip to the Philippines or something, like to find herself over Christmas, so wouldn't be available. And obviously Aaron's in prison, so I was surprised that. But then when Harvey came back, he was clearly kind of like, yeah, Dana just went to see a mate, so yeah, I was kind of so there was sort of that element
She
there.
didn't care about me. I
Wasn't really that bothered. So there was that kind of element there, but I thought that it sort of was all nicely kind of cemented when he kind of got back with Jean, and so yeah, I agree there could have been more made of that, but yeah, I think Harvey's loneliness is sort of getting solved now, isn't it? So thank you so much for tuning in, and thank you for tuning in all of this year. This is the final show of the year. We'll be back in 2023. Until then, you can contact us on Instagram and Twitter at Walford Weekly. You can find us on Facebook at Walford Weekly Podcast. On YouTube, don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the bell to get notifications about our spoiler videos. And you can find us on Apple, Podbean, Spotify, or any of your favourite podcast sites. You can email us on robwalfordweekly@gmail.com or alexwalfordweekly@gmail.com. Ho, 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 and a Merry Christmas to one and all. It's goodbye from me.
Happy New Year as well, and happy Hogmanay to all my Scottish friends. And goodbye from myself. Take care, all of you. Bye, everyone.